Good morning, friends and colleagues. Trina coming to you from the beauty of the backyard, and you might be able to hear the birds. I'm a big fan of them, so I'm happy to hear them. I will just kind of ramble here for a couple of minutes to see if anybody wants to pop on. But I want to talk today about something that I've been working on for a while, something new that I have going on, kind of. It's not exactly new, I guess, but something I have going on, and I plan to use Facebook Live to talk about it maybe on a weekly basis, because I will be teaching classes on a weekly basis in this in the community that I'm going to talk a little bit about. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what that community is, why I'm in it, what it what it's for, what it does for me, and what I do for it in turn. Then so I'm talking about the PBT Institute, and PBT stands for Post-Betrayal Transformation. It's an institute started by Dr. Debbie Silber, who has her PhD in transformational psychology, and her research study was on, initially was going to be on post-traumatic growth, and it ended up being about, she identified, something's going on in another yard, she identified a set of symptoms that follow betrayal that she refers to as post-betrayal syndrome. This is obviously emotional symptoms, but also physical, mental symptoms. So there's an actual syndrome that people who suffer from betrayal can be determined to have, and but there's also a set of phases that people go through, a 5-stage process that leads to post-betrayal transformation. And there are things that keep people from having that transformation too, that people get stuck in stage 3. It is survival mode, basically, and might not ever get to the transformation part of things. Through her process, I kind of learned that I'm like, oh yeah, I've survived betrayals, a ton of times. Well, yeah, I was, that's exactly what I was. I was stuck in survival mode, and never was like fully recovered from that. So I found the PBT Institute and became a member, and decided that I wanted to pay that forward and help other people as I had gone through the stages, help guide other people through it, because I do have a lot of experience in it. I have a lot of experience with it. What is betrayal? So instantly people, if I say I've been betrayed, like, it does usually kind of have a very personal, I think people tend to think romantic betrayal typically first and foremost, which I have had my fair share of. But betrayal can also be family betrayal. It can be betrayal among friends. It can be betrayal in the workplace, and it can most certainly be financial betrayal. And it's basically any situation where someone says, I've got your back, and then stabs you in it. That's my definition of betrayal. Dr. Debbie would say it's a violation of, rules, written or unwritten. But when there was a rule and somebody broke it, they had your trust and betrayed it. But what makes me an expert? if you know me, you probably maybe know that I've been married and divorced 3 times, 3.5 year long custody battle, some workplace stuff. Family's actually been a pretty. I actually don't really have anything that qualifies there. I don't think financial betrayal. Definitely in some different levels, and that one. The thing about, as I said, Dr. Debbie initially started to study post-traumatic growth. Then she moved into studying betrayal specifically, and the difference between a betrayal versus how other traumas affect us is that betrayal is much more personal. It feels much more personal. It is attack on ourself, on our identity, when it comes to financial betrayal, on our security. There is a different healing process when someone, like if you witness an accident or you're in an accident, someone you love passes away. We don't typically start to question aspects of ourself when that happens, and with betrayal we do. So I also want to just throw out there that I am teaching courses in the community. I'm certified through Dr. Debbie's program. That meant I had to take courses, I had to take a written test, I had to do a case study, one-on-one discussion with her. She personally vetted me and approved me to teach courses, but then I have my own specialty within her, within the community. She's the expert on her process, but so I'm a self-development coach within the context of betrayal in her community. And what that means is I will teach weekly classes. I don't get paid for teaching the classes, but I could potentially, people could ask me to do one-on-one coaching with them, and I could potentially be paid for that. But as many of you know, I've been doing bright line eating for years and years, and that's helped me learn about when you're in recovery for something. A good way to keep your recovery going is to be in service to others. Through Bright Line Eating, I've been a VIP poster in a boot camp house. I've been a moderator in their Bright Line Eating official Facebook group that has like 40,000 people in it, I think. Maybe it's 30,000. Anyway, a lot of people. And I had the honor of moderating that group, and for a stint. And so this is part of my healing process, to share what I'm good at and my own experiences with people. The self-development part being something I'm good at, the betrayal being the experiences I've had. I'm a certified coach. I could potentially coach anybody, and build a clientele and that kind of thing. That's not necessarily something I'm looking to do right now, but it could be something I do in the future, building courses, a lot of what you see coaches do. So if something I say here or elsewhere speaks to you, is helpful, please let me know. If something's not helpful, let me know. But I did my first class this past Monday evening in the community, and I've gotten a lot of good feedback so far. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about what that class was, and the title was Start with Strength, and that it's a topic that I am passionate about. Yeah, I'm into all this self-development stuff. I love taking assessments and reading self-help books and doing, learning and growing and pushing myself to grow. And I think it was actually I was looking for something to do in the community as a guest thing several months ago. And my best friend was like, man, just, not talking about what I should do for the thing, but just was like, man, Trina, you're really good at this, setting goals and following up on things, and always pushing yourself to grow and develop yourself. And I was like, you're right. I am kind of good at that. I do. And I really enjoy it. So, so that kind of, was the launch of the whole thing. So my first class this week was called Start with Strength, and I gave some resources such as the VIA character.org, which stands for Values in Action, and that's a place where you can take a free assessment and learn what your strengths are. Of course, there's other things like StrengthsFinder, which is not my favorite because it's very skewed towards a corporate atmosphere, and I'm talking to people who have suffered from some kind of betrayal, and they may or may not work in a corporate environment. And the Values in Action one of the developers is Martin Seligman, father of positive psychology, and those strengths are based on universal strengths, not just things that appeal to corporate environments or American, like individualism. They didn't include because in America, individualism might be considered a strength, but in other cultures, individualism is not considered a strength. And so they explored, all different cultures all over the world and decided this is the list of value-based strengths, and that's what that assessment will give you. So I'll try to remember to put a link in the description or the comments for that. It's one I'm a really big fan of, and another way to find out what you're good at, though, is just what do people come to you for? Traditionally, in my work and in personal life and things, something people will come to me and say is like, hey Trina, I need another perspective on this. I get the word perspective a lot, and so that is something that I consider a strength. It's not something that came up in the assessment, but the stuff that come up in the assessment does feel like it's me. Love of learning is my number one there in StrengthsFinder. My number one is learner. And I also have input on there. One of my strengths on the VIA one is love. And it's like, love, what do you do with that? But I volunteer with Free Mom Hugs, right? And I like to go and that's not really something I ever thought I would do, but now that I've been doing it for a while, and then to have, an assessment be like, oh, one of your strengths is love. And it's like, oh, okay, that's something I can do with that. And why this is important to someone who's suffered from betrayal is because of that aspect of you'll question everything about yourself. You'll question, maybe I'm not good at anything. Maybe I'll never have a healthy relationship. Maybe, you'll question everything. And so it's a lot easier to lean into our strengths and to do things with our strengths and to, quite frankly, to do something you're already good at, to get a little bit of a boost and feel good about something, than to try to fix yourself or find, I'm broken and now I have to, here's all the things that are wrong with me and I have to fix all those things. Instead, how about looking at all the things that are right with you, or even a handful of things that are right with you, or even one thing that's right with you, and build on that. So I love to learn. If I need to do something that I don't think I can do or I don't want to do, I had to fix a lawnmower recently again. And I'm like, I don't know anything about lawnmowers, but then I'm like, if I reframe that and be like, oh, I'm going to learn a new skill, I'm going to learn, then it's, that utilizes my strength to get the thing done that I didn't necessarily, want to do otherwise. And one of the points I was making in the class too is, take credit for the things that you're good at, right? Like, someone says, oh my gosh, that was great, you did a wonderful job. Don't discount that. Don't say, oh, it was nothing. Like, even if it was easy for you, say, it's like, first of all, it's okay for things to be easy. Everything in life does not have to be a struggle. It's okay for things to be easy. And if something is easy for you, it's okay to, if someone says, man, thanks a lot, you really helped me with that. You can say, you're welcome. That's a strength of mine. I'm actually really good at that. It's okay to say that. It's okay to acknowledge that. I encourage you to acknowledge that. When someone gives you credit for something you're good at, take it. and give yourself credit for these things, the things that you're good at, for your strengths. It's definitely preferential to trying to fix yourself. And especially in the wake of a betrayal situation, like, you can feel very broken, like everything's broken. Your heart is broken, your brain is broken. You can feel like a lot of things are broken. So my suggestion is focus on something about yourself that's not broken, that you don't have to fix. And sometimes these will be things that other people might criticize you for, and other people might say are broken about you. Like, for instance, somebody might say Trina talks too much. But there are situations where being able to talk for 20 minutes nonstop is a strength. The fact that I can go onto the camera on a Monday evening and teach a class and talk for 20 minutes and take questions at the end, that's a strength in that situation. There are people I don't want to talk to, and there's times I don't want to talk. But also, it's something that people can criticize about me, but it's also something that can be a strength. So instead of trying to fix myself, find the situation where that's a good thing. In my class, I used a quote that James Clear said. He in his book Atomic Habits, which is a really good book and I highly recommend. And he said, boiling water will soften a potato but harden an egg. And you can't control whether you're a potato or an egg, but you can control whether the game you're playing, the situation you're in, is one where it's better to be hard or better to be soft. So if you're a potato, and the boiling water makes you soft, get into a situation where it's a strength for you to be soft. I am looking at I made some notes here. It's not, for the class, I made some slides. I didn't show the slides, but just made an outline to remind myself. But, let's see. You guys probably, may or may not know, I still use a paper planner. And at the top of my planner, I've used this paper planner for years and years and years. This particular one, I love it. Might put a link to that in the comments too. And at the top of the page for every day, there's a place to put an intention. And I used to try to come up with a different intention every day, and what's my intention today? And now I use that for Monday through Friday. I put my top 5 strengths at the top of the page, and on Saturday I put my word that I picked for the year, and on Sunday I always put the word spirit. But so every day when I'm using my planner, at the top of, especially Monday through Friday, which is for me in particular, a critical time that I need to be reminded that I do have, I have strengths. And it helps remind me to look for situations where I can use those strengths. And sometimes it also helps me recognize that something I already did today, oh yeah, that falls under that strength, right? and since I, it is 7 days, but it's all a week view, I can see them all at once. So, yeah, that's me. I mean, in the class I talked about more stuff than that, I guess, but those are just a few of the points that I thought were helpful. And next week I'm going to talk about elevating yourself. So I may come and do a Facebook Live about that. I'm doing my classes on Monday evening. I meant to, when I did that on Monday, I thought, oh, I'll go on Wednesday and do Facebook Live, and here's Saturday before I did it. But the work week is a hard time for me. So here I am on Saturday, and I'm doing it. Yeah, if you have questions, if you want to know more about the PBT Institute, if you want to know more about self-development, if you want to know more about Betrayal, if you're a glutton for punishment, if you want to know more about my particular situations, I will share in a more private setting, but there's a lot that people already know, so I'm not trying to keep any secrets. I'm just trying not to try not to bore anybody. But if there's anything that you think might be helpful, I did brainstorm a very long list of classes that I intend to give in the community. For the time being, I think I will try to share some of that here, especially what's helpful, because my goal really is to help. And I was going to talk a little bit more about like transformation too. I did put that in the description, because Dr. Debbie talks about the difference between resilience and transformation. And resilience to her is that when we just keep going. And she equates that to like you own a home and the boiler goes out, so you get a new boiler, right? And then which I don't use a boiler, but that's the example. She lives somewhere else that maybe her house has a boiler. My house doesn't have a boiler, but so the hot water heater goes out, you get a new hot water heater. Something breaks in the plumbing, you fix the plumbing. You get a hole in the roof, you fix the roof. That is resilience. You're patching things up, and you're, and like, if you're in a situation like me, for the past, 25 years, I've been patching things up and patching things up and patching things up. But transformation is, this place isn't working for me anymore. It doesn't, there's too much wrong with it, and I'm just going to knock the whole thing down and gut it and start with a whole new foundation, and I'm going to rebuild it. But I'm not going to rebuild the house that I had. Now I get to pick and choose, everything that just exactly the way I want it to be. There's been times throughout the past, couple of years where I've kind of thought or said like, oh, I'll get back to being my old self at some point, kind of thing or whatever. But the difference between this time and all those other times is that I'm not going to go back to being my old self. I'm going to go forward into being a whole new self that I designed. And yeah, I still like heavy metal music. I still love to read, like there's a lot of aspects of my old self that were freaking awesome, and I'm going to carry those forward. but I'm carrying those forward because that's what I choose. And the stuff that I choose not to carry forward is going to be done with. And, you know, everything from here on out, that's part of my life, is part of my life because I choose it. That's the difference between resilience and transformation, is I'm not just gonna keep putting patches on it anymore. That's what I want to help other people do too. I don't want to help them just survive what they've gone through. I want that to help them consciously create a better life. So that's my goal. That's my mission. And that's all I have to say about that. Happy Saturday. The sun's coming out a little bit. And hit me up if you have any feedback. I would love to hear it. Be kind. And yeah. See you later.